Starting right now on ABC's This Week. Breaking news. A U.S. drone strike kills almost a dozen suspected al-Qaeda operatives. We have brand new details about why the U.S. felt it had to act right now. High alert. As Boston gets ready to run, our investigator Brian Ross behind the scenes as police prep for every scenario. Finding faith.
Can you give him a shout of praise? Come on, Strik.
A new generation of evangelicals stepping up. But is their political power on the decline? A special Easter Sunday conversation with Franklin Graham. Plus, baby on board.
We have our first child arriving later this year.
Chelsea Clinton's surprise announcement. Has a Clinton dynasty begun? From ABC News, This Week with George Stephanopoulos begins now.
Good morning. I'm Martha Raddatz. Happy Easter. As we come on the air this morning, we have three stories which could affect your safety and security breaking right now. In Boston, an unprecedented operation unfolding to protect tomorrow's marathon. In Yemen, where a U.S. drone just took out 10 suspected al-Qaeda militants. Was it in response to this new terror video? And Ukraine, where civil war looks increasingly likely after a fragile truce destroyed moments ago by a checkpoint firefight. We have team coverage from around the globe, and we do begin with Alex Marquardt in Ukraine. Alex.
Good morning, Martha. A mysterious and deadly shootout this morning is deepening divisions, raising tensions here after Ukraine had announced an Easter suspension of its military operation to quash pro-Russian unrest in the eastern part of the country. Around 3 a.m., pro-Russian militants say they were attacked outside of a town that they control and say several of their members were killed by a far-right nationalist group, which is aligned with the new government in Kiev. Now, the evidence they're offering is suspicious, but already Moscow is saying it is outraged by Ukraine's unwillingness to control anti-Russian extremists. It's the latest sign that the deal signed in Geneva with Secretary of State John Kerry and other international partners last week has had no effect. It called on illegal armed groups to put down their weapons and leave occupied buildings like this one here, but so far, no one has budged. Martha?
Thanks, Alex. Now to that big hit against al-Qaeda in Yemen, a U.S. drone taking out 10 of the terror group's suspected operatives. Let's go straight to one of the only Western journalists inside Yemen. Reporter Iona Craig joins us on the phone. Thanks for joining us, Iona. Tell us what you know about these militants. We're told they were leaving a training camp.
Yes, we don't know the names or ranks of those individuals, which seems to indicate they were probably foot soldiers and not senior rank al-Qaeda members. But the government has said that they were apparently involved in organising operations against the military and security installations and leaders of the security apparatus here in Yemen. But it's obviously very difficult to independently verify those claims. But certainly even the government has acknowledged that 3 civilians were also killed in that strike. And
you are hearing this morning there were also more airstrikes in Yemen?
Yes, there was at least one, if not two more strikes this morning. The Ministry of Defence here has described those as airstrikes, so it's unclear if they are, in fact, U.S. drone strikes or Yemeni Air Force strikes. They were carried out in an area which has been regularly targeted by the Yemeni Air Force here, all in the same sort of area of southern Yemen, which has become, particularly this area was hit this morning, called Mafad, a real stronghold for Ansar al-Sharia.
There was an al-Qaeda terror tape released recently. Any tie-in between that tape and these strikes?
It's very unclear. The area of Mafad, which I just mentioned, which was targeted again this morning, was hit very soon after that video was released. And that certainly indicated that that area was being targeted, perhaps as a result of that video being released.
Our thanks to Iona. Let's bring in Chairman Michael McCaul from the House Homeland Security Committee and ABC News contributor Admiral Robert Harward, former Navy SEAL and former Deputy Commander of U.S. Central Command. I want to talk to you, Chairman McCaul, first. You have been briefed on this. What do you know?
Well, if the reporting's accurate, this is a very significant drone strike. As you know, al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, or AQAP, poses probably the greatest external threat to the homeland itself. They are the ones who are involved with bomb-making devices to go undetected on airplanes. They are the ones who created Inspire magazine that inspired the Boston bombers that we'll be talking about later in the show. And so I think the fact the administration now is going aggressively against these terrorists, I think is a very positive sign, given the prior narrative that al-Qaeda is on the run and this is all over. I do view AQAP as, again, the most lethal force, if you will, posing the greatest external threat to the United States.
And Admiral Harward, let me ask you, in that tape that we saw, it was taken in broad daylight, and you had an al-Qaeda leader. What does that tell you about what they're thinking?
Well, either they're very brazen or not very smart to realize that over the last 12 years, we've maintained a focus on those individuals who pose threats not only to our people but our partners, and will pursue them wherever they may be. So to provide additional intelligence or information that helps us locate them is not very smart on their behalf.
And some of those in the tape had blurred faces. The al-Qaeda operatives blurred the faces in the tape. What does that tell you?
That tells you they don't want you to know who they are. They know we're watching them.
But could it tell you something is underway and something is planned?
I don't know, Martha. There are a lot of different players involved in this, and we're working closely with our partners. So there's a lot of folks who maintain this pressure, and anything we need to protect in terms of tactics, techniques, procedures, or certain individuals that we don't want to disclose is at play here.
Okay, thanks to both of you.